Hello, welcome back to What the Hell is Up? What the Hell is Up, stars? I'm super excited to be hosting a very special guest today. Today on the podcast, we are hosting the logo designer for the What the Hell is Up podcast, my creative collaborator, my roommate, my teammate, my sister. She's a model, actress, dancer, choreographer, graphic designer, dance teacher, extraordinaire. So I'm really excited to have Cal on the podcast. What the hell is up, Cal?
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. This is really exciting. I've been waiting on this. What the hell is up with me? I'm new to LA. That's what the hell is up. Adjusting to big city life. I feel like everybody, I don't know, Seattle is like a city, you know? But moving to LA, it feels like a small podunk town. Like, this shit's massive. We were looking it up the other day, and I'm pretty sure LA is like 5 or 6 times the size of Seattle. I went to the Griffith Observatory, and looking out over the city, it just keeps going. It just disappears into the smog, which is amazing and terrifying at the same time.
Well, were you looking up the geographical size or the population size? Because I think the population size I remember I looked it up one time and I was floored by the vast, just incredibly larger volume than Seattle the population is.
Yeah, I think we were looking up geographical size. But even then, I feel like that doesn't even... LA is so big. Like, I can drive across Seattle during traffic, an hour, maybe an hour and a half. You can drive, clear across the city from, Shoreline out into Soto in traffic. So without traffic, it's 20, 30 minutes, maybe more than that. I could be, undershooting that because but you go to West or East LA and it takes an hour to get how many miles is that? 12? I don't know. It's wild. The just the sheer size of the city alone is just kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting too because people talk about how LA is so diffuse and spread out, but also every part of it feels like a city to me. Not a lot of it. I mean, yes, we haven't explored that much of LA County outside of LA, but it's not like in Seattle where downtown is downtown and then Ballard, it's a quiet neighborhood, honestly, compared to this. And we're living in Palms, which is a fairly quiet neighborhood in LA, and we have sirens going off multiple times a day, and it feels like a densely populated city with so many shops and restaurants and just tons of people in this part of town.
Yeah, I completely agree. Also, I definitely want to be exploring outside of LA County because there's so much nature in Seattle. You go to Ballard or, Queen Anne, and there's just trees everywhere. Once you're downtown, it's kind of concrete jungle, but then there's trees. You drive 15 minutes and you can kind of be more in a wooded area. But in LA, that's not really a thing. So I'm excited to see more nature in LA and California in general. Just I really want to explore what nature has to offer here. So I've heard it's beautiful, but I have yet to see it.
Yeah, that was part of the draw that I wanted to come, was to get to explore the flora and fauna of Southern California, in it being so different from the Pacific Northwest. But I also noticed that there's not that many parks near us, but we do have the beach. The east side, I feel has more parks because they don't have the beach. They have more of mountains. But but I feel like we haven't gotten in as much beach time as we probably should. So, well, yeah, can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Of course. Hi, I'm Cal, sister of the pod. I'm a dancer, I guess. Yeah, I'm a dancer. I'm an artist. I'm a full-time goofball. Gosh, it's hard to talk about myself. I feel like I talk about myself all day, and then finally I have a platform. I'm like, what's there to say?
Also, I feel like even though you're my sister, like in this moment, you're a podcast guest. So let yourself live in that.
Okay. Yes. Okay, yeah, I'm an artist. I moved out to LA to pursue dance. I'm currently dancing in the second company with Geometry Dance Company, which is really exciting, directed by Mackenzie Martin, queen, boss woman, my idol. And along with that, I'm seeking out other artistic collaborations. It's still early days, so saying that still feels a little bit like I get intense imposter syndrome saying that. But some really cool things have happened already. Like we danced backup for Deanna Delandra, which was really cool. We're going to be in a music video on Saturday. I danced with my old dance company at Mixed Match Dance Fest last month, which was so fun. Yeah, I'm really excited to be exploring new dance community because I've never done that before. Besides just some one-off summer intensives, but getting to really be here and see where I fit in that is empowering and scary. But it's definitely pushing my artistry, and I'm feeling very creative, which is exciting and honestly kind of surprising. With a big transition that I would feel even more creative. But I definitely do. I feel like the juices are flowing, which I'm just ready to strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just a testament to the fact that you were kind of ready. Because I've told you that when I got here, I feel like my creative compass was kind of thrown off in the rooting process. But I mean, it was active in certain areas, but other areas sort of dimmed. But I feel like I can see how yours is sort of raring to go. But yeah, tell us, in the truth, in the lowdown on what brought you here to LA, to be dancing here, to be living here in this apartment. What made you do it?
Okay, what made me do it? That is that's a loaded question. A lot. 24 and 25. I'm 25 right now, but those 2 years of my life have just been full of so much ruthless change. And I guess I just really, in the latter part of my 24th year and then going into, I'm in the latter part of my 25th year now, but at the beginning of when I turned 25, I really felt a change in my brain chemistry. That prefrontal cortex finally developing makes all the freaking difference, my people. If you are 24 and struggling, just wait until you turn 25. You're going to feel better, I promise. Anyways, yeah, when I turned 25, I had just experienced one of the biggest changes of my life. And you had just moved here. It was kind of in my brain. I moved you over here, and I was, kind of helped you move over here, I should say. I drove over here with Claire to get her moved into LA. I mean, I didn't help you move into the apartment, but I drove over to LA with Claire while she was moving. Sorry, I don't know why I worded that so strangely. anyways, while we were doing that, I was kind of going through this like nice this spiritual journey of should I, shouldn't I, do I just experienced a really big change, so I was like, totally. Carpet square has fallen. Claire has some duct tape that she's using to kind of haphazardly secure this carpet square to the window.
It makes a difference, though.
It does, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Go on about your
Yes.
prefrontal cortex development and your mood.
Totally. So, okay, I was 24, driving over with you. We get to LA. I do an audition. I did an audition with a dance company that I had been following for a while, and it was a really last minute decision to come to the audition, but Claire was driving over at the same time, and I was kind of in this season of purging things from my life. So I go to the audition, and it went surprisingly well. I wasn't cut in the first round, which I was really proud of myself. But then after that, I was kind of, part of me was hoping that I would get it so I could just have an excuse to change everything about my life right away. But not getting it was kind of the confirmation I needed to know that, okay, I need more time before I'm fully ready for this city. It's not a full body yes right in this moment. Went back to Renton, turned 25, had a mental breakdown about it. And then I started dancing with Coalescence in Seattle. Shout out Brittany Parker and Chrissy Corrigan. Love you, girlies. And that really changed my life. Before that, I was in a season of not dancing, really grappling with my choice to be a dancer, and then also steeped in self-doubt and imposter syndrome, which was really, I like to tell people that I had a mental block, which honestly I did. Like, I would get into class and I would be unwilling to try things. I felt totally disconnected from my artistry. It was like pulling teeth to get me into class and to feel any sort of enjoyment from it. I was really considering like packing my shit up and just not stopping being a dancer. But there was something in me that's like, what am I going to do if I don't do this? Like, 20 years of my life I've spent doing this art form. I've never even considered really seriously doing anything else. Without it, I don't know who I would be. So anyways, I got into Coalescence. It reawakened me artistically. I really found a home with those girls, and just getting to be in dance community again, and with people that were just so uplifting. It was really what I needed to build my confidence back up. And so then when I heard about the audition with Geometry in spring, I was like, okay, well, I have to do this. And I'd been following Geometry for a while because of a common connection through Boulder Jazz Dance, which also shout out, incredible program. If you ever get the chance to go and you're a dancer, you have to go. It's literally life-changing. Anyways, so I was like, I heard about the audition. Like a week later, I was flying out standby to LA. It was a journey to get me to that audition. Literally against all odds. You and Claudia were like, Cal, you're going to this fucking audition. We're not going to allow me to miss it. But I made it, and then I made it in, which was even crazier. And when I got the news that I got in, this is such a long story, it wasn't a full body yes. It took a lot of people telling me, you have to go. You have to do this for yourself. And I'm really resistant to that kind of pressure.
She likes to do the opposite of what people tell her to do, or do the thing that they tell her she can't do.
It's true. And I think part of it was when people told me, Cal, you have to go, I got this like sinking feeling of, are you guys not going to miss me? Like, why don't you want me to stay? And I know it's not about that. But saying goodbye to my home was like, it's still something I'm, kind of grieving. But anyways, it wasn't a full body yes, but in my mind I knew, if not now, when. And I had an opportunity. You were here, which felt like the perfect kind of connector for me to make the move. And I knew I was going to be in good hands at Genesis and with geometry. So it was time, and I sent it, and now I'm here, which is so crazy.
Yeah. Cal and I always dreamed of living in a new city together. And it was on our sister bucket list, among some other things. And I, for like some reason, always wanted to live here. In some ways, I think it directly aligns with my passions, but in other ways, I feel like LA is just so counter to who I, like the way I work, and yet I was so pulled to be here. And I feel like we kind of talk about how this was always going to be an outcome, even though like first I wanted to go, and then I was like, wait, should I? And then I had the same thought, like, if not now, then when? Like I moved here when I was 26, and I just had this thought of, I've never lived outside of the greater Seattle area, and I have this desire to explore something new and different and just really send it. And you can do things at other points in your life, but there was just something about this time that felt right, and it has proven to be. So, yeah, it's like our paths just kind of were meant to be here at this moment for however long it will be. But yeah.
Okay, along with that, of us always having this dream of, we have this sister bucket list that we made when I was still in high school. I think you were in college. But on one of the first few items is move to a new city together. And though we didn't like move here fully together, we're experiencing, you're still in your first year living here. So we're kind of, navigating this journey together now, which it is like, this is a canon event. We all knew it was going to happen. And I think that's part of the reason why even though it wasn't a full body yes, I know my propensity to kind of resist the inevitable, and resist when people tell me like, how you have to do this. And I'm immediately like, well, now I don't want to do it. Like, this is one of those things that I knew it had to happen. And sometimes you have to resist the knee-jerk reaction in order to experience true growth. So.
Yeah, and I also feel like LA it's just a complicated place. I think, like, kind of, I feel like sometimes I'm sorting through like the ethics of being here, my values, and how they influence the point of being here, because something about it felt sort of selfish to me. Because that like me coming into my kind of confidence and like artistic send has constantly been like an evolving battle of like, what should I do? What do people need me to do versus what do I want to do? But I feel like the reality is the immense like playground of opportunities that exists here, and the fact that there's nothing pre-written for us here, is spooky, but also incredibly freeing, and kind of lends itself to just designing this experience to be however we want it to be. I have thoughts about how it's going so far since you've gotten here, but how are things going for you here in LA? I want to hear the good and the bad and the ugly.
Okay. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. So these past 2 years, it's just been so much. It's been change after change after change after change. And I experienced a really massive change right before moving here. I fell in love. And so I had already made the choice to, move to LA, and then I met this person and literally it changed everything. And so I was really reeling. I was like, do I not go? Do I stay? Like, this is a relationship that I've always dreamed of having with a person who I just like am so in love with. Someone I really admire and just want to be around all the time. But then I was like, no, it is Simp Girl Summer, but it's not give up your dreams and passions for the love of your life summer. Which I think was a really empowering choice and it was a good choice for me because, again, like, this is a season of kind of resisting those knee-jerk reactions, though falling in love is not necessarily, it's not a knee-jerk reaction, obviously, but having the anxiety of like, oh my gosh, I have to stay, like, I have to hold on to this so tightly, feeling confident enough in that to be like, I'm still gonna do this thing for myself, and if this is right, then it's gonna stick around, was just a choice that I really stand behind.
Yeah, along with that, I think that like something I really want to touch on in this podcast episode is like our sisterhood, because I think there's something intertwined between like this idea of like the knee-jerk reaction, the intuition, the sister pull, the sister pressure that may or may not be valid, but sometimes leads in the right direction even though it sucks in the moment. And I feel like your experience before the massive change, during the massive change, during the next massive change, had a moment of like, I don't know, you taking in information from around you and also listening to yourself. Do you have any thoughts on any of that?
I have so many thoughts on that. Yeah, I don't know. Reflecting on it now, for a long time I was in survival mode. And so going against what people said or kind of not listening to advice, just kind of being so strong-headed and stubborn in my choices and choosing the same thing over and over and over again. And, kind of everybody around me, whether they were saying it directly or not, they knew it wasn't the best thing for me. But I was just white knuckling it to those choices because I was in survival mode. And so once, I cut out some things that I needed to and realigned myself with what I truly want and turned 25, prefrontal cortex developing fully, I was able to kind of step back from that and find trust in myself and safety in that, and also realizing that I really trust the people in my life, the people that stick around and, are rooting for me time and time again. They really do have my best interest at heart, and maybe it's time to kind of lean into that a little bit more and not be in survival mode. Like, what would happen if I just kind of had some trust in the world and in others and in myself? So, but the the complications of like sister advice, intuition, knee-jerk reactions, like where do those things kind of cross and where are they completely different? And kind of sussing that out has been the journey I'm on, honestly. Trying to figure out what is in alignment with what I truly want outside of those fearful knee-jerk reactions that are based around survival. And like, how do I take the sister advice and then align it with my intuition? And yeah, I don't know. It's like a scary journey, but a necessary one.
Yeah. I think we have a rare experience in that we have a sisterhood, and along with our other sister, that like does involve tough love sometimes, but it also involves like a lot of like real intimacy, honestly. And like, of course, that comes with its ups and downs. But to me, it's just such an immense gift in my life because I know that like you guys have my back, but you also are gonna kind of not let me settle on things. And like, you know, sometimes we can just be shits to each other. But also like we see each other in a way that like we really want to see that best person come through. And also I feel like when it comes to like both of us being artists who are like pursuing the gosh darn thing, you and I somehow help each other kind of get past this like constant inner critic and chisel that. And like we are kind of very critical people of artwork, and we're critical people, I would say. But we're also really affirming of each other's art, and just I feel like we're each other's biggest cheerleader, honestly. Like you have been my teammate for the podcast, and even with dance, I feel like we've gone through a recent evolution, because I feel like in the past when you were struggling more with a lot of self-doubt and like a lot of imposter syndrome, and I saw how you were really kind of struggling with your relationship with like your confidence in dance class, I feel like it was a lot more difficult for you and I to work on dance together, because I think actually when you were going through that immense insecurity, that's kind of when I was ramping back up into dance, and I was like grabbing a hold of it like more stronger. And but then now I just feel like dance is a space where we can still like play together and like collaborate and just be excited for each other, and like there's no sense really of competition. There's only really just being silly and like maybe cringing, but like at least enjoying the process together. Yes. Which I feel like those steps are not the easiest to go through with someone, because I think if we hadn't have been as committed to like working things through and being sisters, the jealousy or like the competition or just the wait, you get this opportunity, I didn't get this, I don't know, those kinds of things in the journey just kind of could have fucked things up.
Totally. Yeah, I remember when I was really going through it and you were kind of rediscovering your love of dance. And there was this audition that we both went to, and I remember like crying about it and being like, Claire, please, like, I don't want to compete with you. Like, what if one of us gets it? It's going to be so heart-wrenching. And you kind of looked at me and you were like, Cal, I don't feel that way. Like, I want to do this. I know you need to do this audition. Like, let's just go and support each other. And that was really hard for me to accept. Some of the things I experienced like that year in my dance journey were really heartbreaking, and I experienced a lot of rejection and a lot of no's. And I felt so fragile, that I didn't want that to be coming in between our sisterhood. But going through those experiences with you and getting like the yes and the no, and knowing like we still have each other after that was really like important to know that, you know, this art form that we both kind of interact with, and any art form that we're interacting with, because there's a lot of crossover in our interests. Like the relationship is more important than any like result that we have from our art forms. And again, like trusting in those relationships has like been a really important journey for me, and knowing that something as silly as like an audition is not gonna completely destroy our sisterhood.
Yeah. I remember you got the part in that show, of course, and I didn't. But I was also like, I think because of my relationship with dance not being my, you know, main source of artistic fulfillment, or I don't have to rely on it as much. Like, I think my relationship with it has been a little bit more, it's been more playful, and there's like an ease with that. But I've always kind of hoped that maybe that like gives you like a little bit of permission to just not be too, because even though you're a goofball, I've seen your moments of like kind of maybe taking it serious to the point of just kind of like limiting yourself. And I had this approach with dance where I was like, I think it's because of nursing, honestly. Like, taking care of people has always given me this sense of like, what the fuck matters? Like, we have to live and experience joy, and none of this could be here tomorrow. And how do I stay present with every moment? Because none of it is guaranteed.
Okay, yes. Like, I went through a really big season, and I still experience these moments where dance is so important to me, and just being way too intense about that, having this perfectionist outlook, and nothing is ever good enough, being really serious about it to the point where there's no joy anymore. And I feel like I didn't even realize that until this moment, but going through that kind of grief where I was like, this is gonna put our sisterhood on the line, and like I hate dance, and now like she loves it, and that kind of fucking sucks to watch. But seeing you be playful with it, and then being in spaces with you again where we're creating and there's this lighthearted energy, and you kind of help pull me out of my own head and continue to lean into the creative process in a way that's more lighthearted and joyful, has been really important. And honestly has, like, in those moments where I was so serious about it and such a perfectionist, some of my worst work has come out of those experiences. Truly. Like, I feel like now I do have more of a lightheartedness around it, and that same thing you're saying, like, this could all be gone tomorrow, and dance is play. Like, this is not life or death. It's just simply not. And knowing that is so liberating, and it really kind of frees up so much heart space to just be creative without any worry of it being perfect or reaching a certain standard.
Yeah. I had asked like, how are things going here in LA? But I feel like this is a good moment to talk about favorite performances we've done together. Do you remember the favorite performance we've done? Maybe first show we've done, and the most favorite song that we've danced to together.
Oh my God. This is a fabulous question, because I feel like you and I have been performing since the beginning of time. We're just both we just love a stage. We love a performance. We love the drama. And us feeding off each other for that is just, I think it's magic. If no one else enjoys it, we do. Gosh, we've had some really good ones. That performance at the Lights Dance Festival was such a moment for me. Just coming out of, again, that imposter syndrome. That was really the first performance I'd done in so long, like months. So we got the opportunity to dance alongside BJ Cho. Who goes by Byung. He had released his album and was doing an opening number for the Lights Dance Festival, which is a dance film festival in Seattle. And he asked us to dance while he was singing his song Silver Lining. And that song at the time resonated so deeply with me. And hearing his experience writing that song, where it came from, I was like, this is literally what I'm going through right now. In a way, I mean, you know, different people, but like the way that art and music can just like transcend it's never in a vacuum. Like you can always, I don't know, the song was just special. I could relate to it so much. And Claire really you had to like pull some teeth to get me to really do that. I was super resistant to the process. But once we started like playing and doing this movement together, it really felt like coming back to myself in a way that I had not felt in over a year, several years probably. And we created something so dope and beautiful. And there's a video of it, but it really doesn't even encompass how special that performance was. Dance is just ephemeral, and that moment was truly, it just could never be captured on video. You had to be there. But that was a really, really special one for me. But also, low-key, our karaoke performance on your birthday was so iconic. It really was. Like, that was just us. We danced to, what's that fucking song? Tied Together with a Smile by T Swift. It's our favorite karaoke song, and we always come up with some really iconic choreography to it, and the girls were there for it. We really felt like superstars. There was like people like with the angles, like they had their flash on. It was so fun. Our first performance, wow. It must be. Our first performance had to be when we were dancing at Rainier Ballet Academy, but nothing truly iconic.
I was trying to remember like our first duet, and we talked about it for singing in church, but I don't remember it for dance.
We didn't really do a lot of duets growing up, which is just, I don't know. I truly don't know, and I don't understand. I can't really recall. I think there was one, but I don't think we ever really performed it like on stage for a recital or anything.
I feel like we started getting shows together when you were in Bellevue College.
Yeah. Okay, Singspiration though. Iconic. Also like Toxic by Britney Spears at the talent show. Okay, wait, when I was still in middle school and you guys were in high school, and for the dance showcase or whatever at Liberty, you brought me in for that like Nicki Minaj mashup. And I came out during the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. That just, did you feel like a star? I felt like a fucking star, and I milked it for all it was worth. Ridiculous, but iconic. Anyways, okay, when I was in Bellevue College and we did that duet to the Oh Wonder song, that was really special. And then we did another duet during that show we kind of helped put together. That was another really special one. Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, I don't know. We work really well together, and the way we move is really similar. We kind of have the same like quirks that I think we really complement each other well when we move. So it's always fun to dance with you. Oh my gosh, how could we forget? Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah. That was the first duet.
Yeah, that was the first duet. Shout out Eo Walter for like seeing the power of us together and like really capitalizing off of that.
We were featured dancers, dance leads. We had a tap duet. That was fun. I loved that tap duet. I loved the costuming, steampunk. Great idea for Wizard of Oz. And I think BJ's song is probably my favorite song we've danced to, because that song is literally about moving to a new city because you feel like you have to, even though you kind of love where you came from, but you feel complicated about it. And it couldn't have been more fitting for our experience at that time in life. I feel like we're going to be dancing together for the rest of our lives. Yes. So questions that I want to ask you about you as a dancer. What inspires you in your dance, and what are you hoping to create right now?
Oh my gosh. I was just talking about this with my girlfriend, because she's a very creative person, but she's not an artist. I mean, everybody's an artist in their own right, but she's always, she's a very curious person. So she was asking me like what inspires me. And I think we were actually talking about the podcast. I don't know. I can't really remember. I just remember talking about it with her. And Kid Pivot is a contemporary dance company based out of Canada. I discovered them in college, and for months I was just so hyperfixated on them. And I actually got the opportunity to see them in Canada, which is kind of rare. They don't really come to the States very often. I think they've been in Seattle like once or twice, and they go to New York. But Crystal Pite is literally a genius. You can't really find their work online unless you're like buying it through Vimeo or something, but it's worth purchasing their concert because it's amazing. Like their movers are so crazy, so always inspired by that. Gosh, what else? I'm inspired by so many things. Music really inspires me. I feel like that really fuels a lot of my movement. I know some movers they kind of come up with the move and then they kind of find music to fit it, which is definitely a part of my creative process. But lately I've been music has just really inspired me lately, and getting to use that as a jumping off point for my movement has been fun. Because, okay, what I've been doing recently is I'll choreograph to a song and then I'll get sick of it, and then I'll use the same movement to another song, and it'll kind of change and adapt. And that has been really fun to experiment and play with. And getting to create with you is so inspiring. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, biggest inspo right now, easy, Mackenzie Martin. She is the director and owner of Genesis Studios. She is the director and owner of Geometry Dance Company. She also has like a production space, and she owns Soul to Soul, which is a dance convention for youth. She is such a boss, and the other day in rehearsal, we were creating a new piece, which up until now we've kind of been setting work that has already been done in the past, but this was completely fresh. And I got to watch her brain work, as she was kind of crafting this movement. And wow, I feel so honored to get to be in a space with someone that inspires me so much, and to be with other movers that are so tuned into the process. And the movement really is something different than I've ever gotten to really engross myself into. But it also feels so aligned with who I am as an artist. So yeah, I really am inspired by the intersection between business and art, and finding a meeting point between those two things that is holistic and not sacrificing any layer of artistry or humanness in that.
Damn. But I definitely see that in the way you process, and you tend to like not over rehearse things. But you also like, I think, have a patience with what's going on, and you're not. I'm curious to see how you learn more about this business side of things, because I was actually listening to a podcast before we started this today about how this woman, she's a visual artist, she was saying how really artists should take business classes, because what you're creating is a product at the end of the day, and it's a product that has value. Like, and businesses talk about products with value, like, and you know, I'm like really squeamish about the business side, but it's like kind of a way to, I don't know, I feel like it's a lens that is gonna, I'm excited to see how it serves you, because I hope that it gives you a sense of like your creative value and your value as a choreographer, as a dancer, like you've done creative direction in a way. And the more inspiration you can get to see that like in action and models of that, like, is just really going to help you to be able to show more of your work to the world.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think I've seen the bad side of business and art mixing, people that aren't taking care to make sure it's a healthy environment for their artists and just kind of pumping out work for the sake of making money. So getting to see the other softer side of that, where someone is owning multiple really successful businesses and creating really beautiful work, and at the same time just approaching it with so much gentleness and artistry and compassion, is so refreshing. And there is a side to me, you know, I am like highly creative and an artist at heart, but there is a side to me that's a little bit more type A. And I feel like if I'm going to do it, I want it to be like right and perfect, which has often kind of stopped me from doing it at all. But I am in the season of just doing it. So I'm excited to kind of figure out how to fulfill my type A need for it to be done well, while also mixing that with my just soft, creative, abstract side, and finding a way to live into those two identities in a way that is leading with love.
I feel the sense that this intersection and figuring it out is like paramount to like even being an artist, and especially in LA, because I just feel like I see so many people here who are working from a space of a lot of creative freedom, but also hold themselves like as valuable, and like are willing to work to like meet that vision. I'm excited to keep doing that with you and seeing you do it. What's been your experience like helping me with the podcast?
I mean, I'm so inspired by the pod and by you. So inspiring is the first word that comes to mind for that. I remember several years ago us sisters were all kind of huddled in your apartment, and it was like winter, and it was after a season of, it was kind of still COVID times, like after a season of kind of being apart and us all kind of coming back together, just needing each other so bad. And you like were like, guys, I think I'm gonna quit the podcast. And my heart literally shattered at that moment. I was like, Claire, no, you can't quit the pod. Like, you cannot quit the podcast, because I just think that this is so special, what you've created. Getting to be a listener, but also kind of seeing behind the scenes, getting to meet all of the people that you've met through the pod, and be a part of it, but also be kind of like just a bystander watching it all happen. It's really magical, like what you've created, and just literally out of nothing, just out of a desire to create anything, which is so cool that you like taught yourself how to do this, and you're doing it so well. Yeah, I truly am just like starstruck by you, and you're a boss. You're a bitch. You're a bouse. You're a bouse, baby. And I hope that you just never stop. I mean, if there is a day when you're like, no more pod, I hope you never lose your desire to just create something, and your creative spirit is vast. So yeah, I'm inspired by you, man. Thank you, young bub. Let's take a quick break. Mouse. Mouse, baby. How do you deal with living with me? Still figuring that one out. Just kidding. I feel like you and I have always kind of had a harmony about our... We really know how to live together better than any other sisters or siblings that I've witnessed. I think that we have like a harmony in our relationship that kind of... It wasn't always like that. But also, we were never sisters who fought. It just really pissed me off when I was in the bathroom in the basement and you would turn off the light, which was on the outside of the bathroom, while I was on the toilet. Okay, fair. But that's like what siblings do, you know? And I felt like growing up, we really weren't the type to just like relentlessly tease each other or fight. So I needed to spice it up a little bit. It couldn't just be all sunshines and flowers all the time. I needed to fulfill my younger sister annoying quota, and doing that, it helped. Yeah. Well, plus I feel like I was always pretty nurturing, but you had to be a menace because you had to try me. I needed to push the envelope a little bit. But yes, truly, you have always been so nurturing. Yeah, so how do I deal with you? I feel like I don't deal with you. I feel like you deal with me. But we are pretty good about matching each other's energy. And if we are not matching each other's energy, taking steps to just kind of be like, okay, I'm going to give her a min. Yeah, I don't know. You and I are really similar in a lot of ways, but in the ways that we are not similar, I feel like we contrast each other really nicely. So it's harmony, man. Peace and love in this apartment. Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like let's see, you've been here for 2 months. I feel like the first month had its challenges because I was kind of getting back to like living with someone. Like I'd been alone and left to my own devices. I can be a little bit like industrial about the way I live.
So, you kind of helped me get out of that, but also I was a little resistant. You know, I had to buy a vacuum and things like that. But then, yeah. And then I think also just managing like how much of goofballs we can be with the need for downtime and the need for us to like plug in our headphones and like talk to someone else or like just kind of be alone, or me like realize it's okay to leave you here alone and you're gonna be fine and I'm gonna be fine.
Yes. I feel like that first time you left and I was like, oh, like I'm not here on that was the first time that I was like, this is not a vacation. This is, I have to figure out what I'm going to do when you're not around. And I'm still, you know, working on friendships here, meeting people, figuring out what my life really looks like. So the first time you left, I was like, I have separation anxiety. Can I come with you? I think you were going to a show or you were going to hang out with a friend. And okay, yeah, you were going to like a happy hour thing. And I think I could have gone, but then I was like, I didn't want to, and I was also not really feeling well. But now I feel like I value like alone time now, and it's kind of like exciting to like be here and be like, okay, like what do I get to do now? Like there's so many possibilities. Like what life am I gonna have here in this city alone? And getting to, you know, explore with you, but then also kind of like find my own footing has been fun. At first it wasn't, but now it's starting to become fun.
Yeah. I think I was telling someone the other day that there is overlap in our friends, but also I think kind of if we were left to our own devices, we would be naturally drawn to quite different people. And it's fun to mix and match because then, you know, we get to experience like people that we might not have otherwise. But it is interesting how kind of we would like maybe be doing different things if it wasn't for living together, but also it's like beautiful and lovely to live together because we last night we like had a mini dance party before I went to hang out with a friend, and sometimes I cook dinner and sometimes you cook dinner and sometimes we cook together, and it's just LA can be so overwhelming, and I see how it's just feels like I could see how people could try to fill themselves with a lot of distractions to feel a sense of belonging here. And I know I had like an emptiness that I was, you know, working on and just facing that loneliness. But I feel like having each other has just made it so much easier and so much more fun.
Yes, I completely agree. And along with the friends thing, because I have met so many of your friends and they're all lovely. And I think in the past I would have just been like glommed onto your friends and not really sought out making friendships of my own. But it's been kind of, I've noticed how much I've grown in coming here and meeting all your friends because I love them and I do want to be close to your friends, but I also still have that desire to find my people, and kind of having that like mental dissonance of like, okay, I love these people, but these are Claire's friends. And then being excited about, you know, meeting my own people and finding my own group has been really refreshing and I think really good for our sisterhood also.
Yeah. It's funny because on the one hand, I can be a little bit more outgoing, but on the other hand, I sometimes have more anxiety about like keeping consistent with people. And you don't have a lot of blockage with that at all. I think you are just a lot more I think you just naturally know that hanging out with people is like what you should be doing. So it's nice to get to like feed off each other's different styles of connecting with people, because I think it lends itself to flourishing. What's been some of the best and worst aspects of LA to you?
Okay, I'm gonna start with the worst so we can end on a happy note. I really miss the weather in Seattle. The air just is fresh there. So the smog, I hate the smog. And just like the smell of gasoline constantly. Or some kind of a funky smell is always kind of happening. Which you get in Seattle, like it always kind of smells like pee. But then there's also like the mountains and the water that's just like, I remember the last time I was leaving Seattle, right before I got on the plane, I was just like, because I wanted to just remember this crispy air there. Which I do remember. I'm glad that I was like very conscious about making a memory of that. So I miss the fresh air. The traffic fucking is horrible. It's horrific. The traffic is absolutely horrific. Everything that anybody says about the traffic, it's absolutely true. It's not hyperbole.
I think you also, more than me, have had times where you need to go across the city at the worst time possible.
Yeah, because a lot of my dance things are like right at 6. So you kind of have to be like West LA to East LA. You got to block out an hour for that. It's rush hour traffic, and leaving right at 5 sucks. It's just so backed up. But a silver lining of that is I've been listening to music so much, which has been really fun. I haven't been I've been in a podcast rut. So if anybody has recs, please send them my way. But I really love listening to music. Getting to talk to people on the phone while I'm driving is always fun. And just a lot of time to just kind of sit with myself. There have been some moments of me just steeped in anxiety while I'm driving and like, ugh, what am I doing here? And I just, whenever I'm feeling that way, I'm like cranking the music and just having the most outrageous dance party in my car. And my car, there's no tint to the windows. You can see, it's like a fishbowl. You can see exactly what I'm doing at all times. And I kind of love that. I'm like, I am in a movie right now. I am the main character. I am going through something, and everybody better know it. So that's been a really good coping mechanism. All the people I've met here have been lovely and wonderful. I don't think I've met, well, I don't think I've met a bad person. Knock on wood. But truly, like, everybody I've met has been so like just really, really good, artistic, grounded people that I've loved to get to know and bring into my life. So that's been awesome. The beach is beautiful. It really is. I love sand. Also, I love like East LA. Like Atwater Village, where we were performing earlier this week, was really cool and quirky. And when it's overcast here and you're walking around in the evening and it's just the city's kind of buzzing, but it still feels like kind of cozy. It was like this feeling of nostalgia that was really cool. I was like, this is my first time ever really experiencing this, but for some reason I feel so nostalgic. It feels just like cozy and comforting. Yeah, also like my room, like getting to open the windows and like the breeze kind of comes in and it's kind of like ocean air. It feels really airy and just really nice. So yeah. Also, the dance communities I've found here have been really positive and uplifting, and that's been such a blessing.
I think moving to a new city really opens one's vision to see things they didn't see about the old place they lived in, and maybe feel more attention on things that they might otherwise miss in a new place. And like focus on certain contrasts. Like, I feel like the little thing of like the breeze through the window is so nice because we live on the west side, even though the east side is cuter. The west side, we have like this ocean breeze, and it's like a little bit more fresh. And sometimes I feel like in the vast urban squalor of LA, like there's like these little moments of just appreciation for small things that can make you mindful if you let it.
That's so true. Like in Seattle, I love Seattle. Moving away has made me realize I love Seattle. Because you get into the thick of winter and you're like, fuck this rain. Fuck all these cold ass people. Fuck the Seattle freeze. And I've never owned a rain jacket or an umbrella. So like, you know, I was just really like curmudgeon-y about it and like, oh, I hate it here. But now it's like sunny 24/7 and I'm like, I miss Seattle. I want the rain. But then small things like the breeze coming through my window or smelling like a little bit of the ocean, or when it's like cloudy and I'm like, oh, if it was raining, it'd be even better. Like getting to really relish in those like small things that I never would have appreciated because I just lived in Seattle my whole life. That's really special. You get a new perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I like how it kind of goes both ways. Makes me feel just grateful for West Coast living. The theme of this season of the podcast, which you created a lovely graphic for, this rooted season based off my good friend Matthew Borner's music, which you were really inspired by. How are you staying rooted in this season and in general? How do you stay rooted in being Cal, in being an artist?
Such a good question. I've learned that making a big change and changing your context doesn't have to mean burning bridges or completely letting go of the old. So an example of that is I'm still really involved with the dance company I was with in Seattle and trying to keep up connections at the studio I was dancing with as well. And then also continuing to foster community in Seattle and making sure those connections are really strong while I'm also rooting here and finding new connections here. It feels, I don't know, I just have this sense of home that I've never felt before, knowing that just because I left doesn't mean I'm forgotten or that the opportunities there are no longer. Knowing that I always have somewhere to call home is like really helping me stay grounded. And also just pouring into relationships right now has been really special. I was in a dry spell with like just kind of work, dance, and really not having much fun at all. I mean, dance is fun, but not like going out or, you know, fostering friendships in Seattle until, you know, right before I left. But now I love the relationships I'm starting to build upon and pour into and create. And I'm really feeling like I have an open heart for them and all of this space to pour into other people and in turn pour into myself. That makes me feel really grounded. And having these like planning out time, knowing, you know, when I'm going to see certain people, and it's like this special, it's like Christmas every time. Like I'm like, oh, like, no, my girlfriend's coming this weekend, or I know we're going to FaceTime on Tuesdays, or I know I'm going to have Manifest Monday with you and Claude like every Monday, and I know I'm going to be with Gio every Monday, and just like having like a schedule and knowing that I'm going to have these relationships to come back to on a weekly basis is that shit makes my world go round.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're still definitely in the cloudiness of trying to figure out being rooted in LA. But I think it's cool how you let yourself still be connected with the old. Sometimes I think that's a little bit harder for me because I think I really try to be so rooted in where I am, which is like a good thing, but also sometimes I forget, like, oh wait, I have existing support, existing things, and it's good to let your roots be lateral as well as deep, because lateral roots also get nutrients. What the hell is up next for you? What are you dreaming about? What are you hoping for? Where are you trying to elevate to?
Ginger is currently in the process of trying to break her way into the studio. She's hilarious. Something I'm dreaming about is having consistent income. It's competitive out here. But yeah, that's definitely a big dream. And I know it's going to bring so much ease into my heart when that happens. So trying to remind myself that I came out here for a reason, and these are just, growing pains. I'm going to find a freaking job. But trying not to like let myself feel guilty about that has been kind of an uphill battle. About coming here without a job. Yeah, even though like this is something I did like work for, and I was saving up for months for like nothing, I just had this savings that I was kind of just sitting on, and this was a change that I needed to do for myself. And even though there was a loose plan, that was part of the plan. Coming here without a plan was like part of it. That was kind of what I needed. I had geometry, but in terms of what I'm going to do for work and what I'm going to do outside of those Monday rehearsals was kind of a little bit up in the air. But I needed to do that for myself. Yeah. So yeah, dreaming about consistent income for sure. Coming up, we're doing that music video on Saturday, which I'm really, really excited about. I'm hoping for more opportunities like that. I love music videos. I love being on set, so I'm really excited to get to do that again. Yeah, I'm dreaming of continuing to build old and new connections and really seeing how this like journey is going to play out. I know that something is kind of brewing. I feel like I'm on the precipice of something, and I don't fully know what that is yet, but knowing that I do have control over that. But also there's going to be, I don't know, I feel like there's so many surprises like waiting for me. I'm just excited. I'm in a practice of letting myself just be excited about it and take this opportunity as something, I'm in my mid-20s. This is probably the last time I'm going to be, really taking life by the horns and kind of making a crazy choice. And this is like my moment to explore that and be independent and be a little bit selfish along the way. And yeah, this is my time. Yeah. This is my time to shine. I've always known that nothing's impossible and dreams come true. Dreams come true, yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. My sister, my bestie. Well, I don't know. Do you want to ask me anything?
So Claire, I feel like you are also on the precipice of greatness. I mean, you're constantly living in greatness, truly. But I feel like there's lots of opportunities kind of coming your way right now, which are, from an outside sister perspective, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's like kind of on top of the world. I know you don't always see it that way, but I feel like there's lots of new things happening in the pod and also in your creative life. And you've also you've been building on some really dope relationships recently. I want to know, what is the next step for What the Hell Is Up? How are you going to continue to make this pod all that it can be and reach new audiences and just continue to bring dope indie shit to the world?
It's a great question. Yeah, I'm excited because I really am like in a position right now where I have like a lot of opportunity to like work and just seize the moment. And like, I don't know, I feel like sometimes it's not really about manifesting, it's actually more about asking and working. Like, not to sound like Kim Kardashian, but I think just like focusing and trusting enough to just be like, okay, just write, just plan, just send the email, do the things, because like the elements are there. But right now I'm kind of looking for collaborations with brands that I believe in, and I would love to uplift brands and products that I really have like a true appreciation for. I want to keep meeting incredible musicians and finding their music, and I want to be a better storyteller and keep really chiseling my craft, because as much as I want a larger audience and I want the views and I want the listens, more than anything, I really want to just create like really these stories that I really think are worth listening to. And I think that really takes some discipline. So I want to be disciplined enough to like keep trying to be better and like meet people who are also kind of in that same playing field, which I kind of feel like I have been. I want to keep going to shows, and if you're listening and you're a musician, like I would love to hear your music and to talk. I want to like stay just really authentically inspired with the choices I make with like even my social media and the thoughts and questions that go into my mind when I'm crafting the podcast. Yeah. So I'm excited to keep making episodes that I really believe in. And I mean, down the road, I think I really want to keep making this podcast about like uplifting voices that need to be heard, encouraging people, and maybe seeing some impact on parts of LA that like I really want to help. Because I think as I'm able to like add more stability to my own life, I hope that what I gain from the podcast can hopefully help feed communities around me in some way. I want to stay curious and rooted. I really just want to keep making it better and more colorful and something people really want to listen to. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. yeah, I don't know. I feel like you are just so capable. And this thing that you've created is really special. And you have so many. I just hope that you continue to take life by the horns and take every opportunity that comes your way that feels in alignment with your artistic vision. And don't doubt yourself, because you got something going here. People need to hear it. And that's what the hell is up.
On that note, that is a incredibly perfect closing. So thank you, my sis. And thanks for listening, stars.
Thanks, stars. You can catch me at Calatopia on Instagram.
Oh, yes. Please hit her up for your dancer or choreographic needs.
Yeah, if any artists out there are looking for music video support or backup dancing or any sort of movement, please DM me. DMs are open for sure. Also, I have a TikTok, which no, not really, because honestly, I hate that stupid app. Like, you have no control over what pops up on your feed, and it is terrifying. So, fuck TikTok. But if you are, on TikTok, it's at Callan. And I do have the thing on where I see who views my profile. So if you're like sneaking a look but not dropping a like, I see you.
Say that. All right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me. Love y'all.